Previously on Resident Evil 5. And really, she's just so frigging smart. So I took one for the team, made the hard decision, and told Sheva to sacrifice herself for me. Chris, don't. Chris? Chris! Chris! Hello friends, my name is Dante, and this is how I ended up failing the No Guns challenge. So if you didn't remember from part 1, which by the way, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out on my channel, Chris did a big no-no, and then some random bro cruised up the street in his 6'4" and picked us up. And I'm sad to say, I had to use the mounted gun. Thanks for watching guys, if you enjoyed be sure to drop a like, smash that subscribe button and... Okay, stop. I'm kidding. I'm still continuing on, and you should stick around because I swear, you'll be amazed how I fought the U8, the Lab Ouroboros, and Wesker, and that's just the tip of the iceberg because yes, I did beat all 3 of these bosses and more without guns. Not to mention, you're gonna get to see the slow decline of my sanity as Sheva screws me over more and more throughout the run. But if you really want to leave because I failed the challenge already, bye-bye. Anywho, I remember it clearly. I was in the back of the Humvee with Sheva and my boy Tyrone, and I had decided I was kind of like a vegan, but with killing. I was not gonna partake in the murder, that was against my principles. But luckily, Sheva was a bloodthirsty beast, so I didn't have to worry about anything. Funnily enough, she blew up every motorcycle and truck there was, and sure, we died a few times, but because of the checkpoints, I was actually able to get through this part without shooting a single bullet myself. On veteran difficulty! But then we get to a fan favorite, El Thick Boy V2. At first, I tried letting Sheva deal with the big boy on her own, but his thickness was just too much for one woman to handle. Wait, that sounded bad. I meant that in the most wholesome way possible. Okay, so blah blah blah. To get to the juicy part of the journey, Sheva and I teamed up, I tried introducing the big boy to his new dental plan, and yet again, Sheva and I were the only 2 left standing. But my thirst for death wasn't quenched, so it was off to the jungle to kill some poor innocent tribal men. So let's put that down as one inevitable gun usage. We arrive at the jungle, I had a flashback of Jill yeeting Wesker out of the world's highest window, and I was finally introduced to the stun rod. I like the feel of this baby. Now immediately there was a clear difference between the stun rod and the knife. The knife would take about 10 to 20 swings before an enemy was vanquished to the underworld, but the stun rod only took 2 to 3 hits, and unlike the knife, the enemy would be stunned with each hit. This weapon was a holy object. A godsend. It was Thor's hammer in its purest form, and I was the god of lightning. Now, did I really have to kill an entire tribe of innocent jungle people? No. Did I have fun doing it? Yes, definitely. So right away we had a huge problem. The jungle boys locked us in a small area, and the only way out was to trust my newly acquired friend Sheva to use a gun on the boys. I was pretty nervous at this part, but quickly found out that if you wait long enough, the gate will automatically open and you can just speed out of there real quick. And this is where we came to Chicken Island. This island would be an excellent source of protein. After all, these stacked, hulking, chiseled muscles don't grow themselves. And look at all those chickens. They were so frigging adorable and I swore I'd never hurt them. I lied. But the chickens fought back. And just look at that damage.
Now that's a lot of damage!
2 chicken punches were enough to make me realize I bit off a little more than I could chew, and so Sheva and I left Chicken Island forever. Alright, so there's not a lot to be said here. I abused some alligators / crocodiles, we killed some more dum-dums, killed even more dum-dums, and finally got enough pieces of the puzzle to continue on. As a side note, with the stun rods, every small enemy in this game, even on veteran difficulty, was extremely easy to bully and electrocute to death. Next was the toughest goddamn battle I had come across so far. So the game plan was to get Sheva across an endless abyss for her to open a nearby gate, in the process getting us out of this cursed jungle. But we had a problem. Not only were there 2 big boys, but we had a bunch of little boys after us too. My first strategy was just to kill them all, but clearly my ego was just a bit too high, and because of this, I suffered a painful death. So I thought, screw this, I'ma just run for it and hope for the best. So I freaking booked it to the crank, yelled at Sheva to hurry the hell up and cross. Go! 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 And the moment Sheva took a step on the bridge, a big boy penetrated me from behind and Sheva fell to her painful death. Go! 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 No! I had a lot to think about. Sheva had died because of my hasty actions. She knew not to cross. After all, it took me 10 minutes of peer pressuring her to cross, and the moment she took the smallest step on the bridge, she was killed. I knew I had to be more responsible and help Sheva through this process rather than getting angry at her. But at the same time, if Sheva had just crossed the bridge the moment I told her to, she wouldn't be dead, now would she? I started this journey really liking Sheva, but now? I just wasn't sure how to feel about her. The next logical step was to try and kill every enemy in the area, and after a good few attempts, we did it. And I'd like to say one thing. In Resident Evil 4, at least Ashley doesn't mess you up by using a healing item on the both of you. In that game, you're in control at all times, for better or worse, and I like it that way. But here, Sheva and I were at the end of our battle, and sure, I was low on health, but I could get by with a few more steroid injections. But then up comes Sheva and just sprays the stuff down my throat. Sheva, you piece of absolute garbage. I swear, you do one more thing to piss me off and I'm freaking done with you.
Come on!
Roger.
Why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised? You know what? I thought I'd give Sheva just one more chance. Oh look, Sheva, there's a guy we missed. Let's take him on. We're in this together. Sheva! So I held the stupid platform for stupid Sheva and it took everything for me not to just let her fall to her death. I kept hearing voices in my head. No one would know, Dante. Just let go of the crank. Just let go of the crank and all of your problems will go away. But no, I said. If I let Sheva fall to her death, who will open the door for me? I may wish death upon her, but she's still useful to me, so no sense in letting her go just yet. I swear to God, in real life I'm a good person. I used my spidey sense to dodge the crocodiles/alligators, kicked the button very aggressively, and we arrived at the Chainsaw Twins. Not the Bella sisters if you're thinking of Resident Evil 4, these are the Bel Air sisters.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down.
This part was really difficult, don't get me wrong. It took maybe a dozen attempts, but you guys can see how after a few tries, it becomes really easy. All you really have to do is turn pipes and avoid the fresh princes of Bel Air, and then yeet your way around an angry mob. Nothing we haven't done before. Then we meet Josh. So we defend Josh while he inputs his epic Fortnite gamer hacks. We decide to split up because that always works. And we made it to the boat quite easily, to be honest. I'm gonna skip this next boat sequence because again, any small enemies were easily dealt with stun rods and I want to get to the juicy stuff. Trust me, you aren't missing much. Now, it's time to kill... what's his face? Now I did my research for this part, and in the comments of my part 1 video, people asked me if it was possible to kill Irving with only grenades. To break the news to you guys, no, it's not possible to kill him with anything but guns. Well, you can have the final hit being a grenade, but a YouTuber by the name of Matt Tricks said in one of the descriptions of his video that Irving can't totally be killed with grenades, so I'll take his word for it. Inevitable gun usage number 2. And by the way, now that we're on the topic, lots of you guys told me that Sheva has her bow and that doesn't count as a gun, which I'd agree with, but the bow has infinite ammo, so I'm gonna have to give big no to that one. Chris was gonna put a bullet in Fishboy's head, but Sheva finally realized this was a no guns challenge and she stopped him. Thank you, Sheva. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. We arrived at the temple and again man, this entire thing was incredibly easy solely for the reason that the stun rod is so powerful and kills all enemies in 2 to 3 hits. But then, statues start falling and we start running. Chris really regrets skipping them leg days now. Then the door starts closing and I just love how coordinated this is. They must have practiced this before starting this adventure because it was just... mwah. I feel very uncomfortable. Next, Sheva and I make it to Temple Part 2, we meet the bat from Part 1, and we run and jump some more. To make sure he was dead, I took inspiration from Negan and caved the bat's head in with my stun rod. Don't judge me. Again, I'll be skipping over the Sun Power Rangers magnifying glass extravaganza portion, and if you guys are unsatisfied with anything in this challenge so far, tell me and I might upload some proof to my Dante Ravioli proof channel, but really I don't even want to bother. I mean, I've already admitted to failing the challenge twice, why would I lie about anything? Here we go baby, we've made it to the lab and I've only had to use guns twice. Heck yeah! I believe I did something similar to photosynthesis, and I was feeling really good. I was feeling brave and confident that I could actually get through this challenge. That's a lot of blood. I've decided I want to go the opposite way of the murder scene, goodbye Sheva. But before I could leave, I stopped myself and turned back around. After the countless monsters I'd encountered, the friends I'd lost, and the mistakes I had made, was I really gonna just throw it all away for fear? Hell no, I ran back and faced what was coming. Fear didn't win that day.
I don't think they'll notice us.
You don't think who will notice us? That's a lot of liquors.
Just to be safe, we should be as quiet as possible.
You know, Sheva, I really really agree with you on this one. But I can't help but be a goddamn psycho this time. Try to keep up, Sheva. Luckily, we escaped without any major damage and it was time to fight the U8. This boy was a real pain in my butt. I tried giving him the shock therapy treatment, but the boy was just too strong for Sheva and I. So I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed. And finally, an epiphany came to me. Obi-Wan Kenobi appeared to me and told me the most important information I'd ever receive in my entire life.
Use the Force.
Dante.
Let go.
Dante. And so that's what I did. I put all of the grenades I had acquired throughout the game in my inventory and went to work. It took lots of wit, intelligence, and great muscle definition on my part, but eventually the spider was vanquished. If you guys don't believe me, I'll for sure be uploading the proof for this boss battle on my Dante Ravioli proof channel. And here, I came to my first enemies with guns. I sat there for a while planning out my strategy, but I eventually decided the best course of action would be to charge them head on and slap them like the hose they were. Immediately, I could tell these boys would be a problem. Not only that, but they used our own weapons against us. But with all of the health that we saved up throughout the run, and the fact that I was basically a bullet sponge, these parts weren't too hard to deal with. Don't forget that at this point in the game, the only things I'd bought were the stun rods and the vests, leaving the rest of the thousands of dollars for first aid sprays and proximity mines. One guy decided he'd tease Sheva and I on the top of the nearby stairs, and even though I thought I'd let this man walk away harmlessly, I knew the best course of action would be to slap his toes with my electricity rod. The mad lad then charged at me, but the fight we had was absolutely pathetic. He was an embarrassment. Not to mention, right after this, Sheva got stuck on my arm. Lots of you guys seem to say Sheva has amazing AI and that I'm the retarded one. Peak AI right there, fellas. Oh, and by the way, taking on lickers with only stun rods was incredibly effective and I was rich because of this. Boys, I'm ballin'! And then, we get to our first bug boy. I killed him first try. Don't get me wrong, future bug boys were a pain. But this guy on his own was easy peasy. And here is where I had real fears that the run was over and failed. Well, I already failed it, but you know what I mean. Anyway, this guy was so menacing and large that I thought we'd never get through there alive. After all, the flamethrower was a big no-no, so what choice did we have other than to accept our inevitable deaths? But then, Obi-Wan Kenobi appeared to me and said,
"Hello there."
Using the same joke twice in one video? Quality content! What I ended up doing was using all of the fire grenades I'd saved up the entire run, and then proceeded to smash his balls with my stun rod while he was down until he recovered, rinse and repeat. I don't know if you guys wanted some kind of epic battle montage or something, but guess what? This part was easy. And here I came to one of the toughest battles of the run, the bug boy and military part. If I was lucky enough to kill one buggy, the other one would end up killing me because guess what? These bug boys can and will insta-kill you. So after a bit of struggle, I said frig this and just booked it to the mechanical moving flying machine. God must have been on my side that day because not only did just one bug guy spawn instead of the regular two, but he must have gotten stuck on the door or something because he didn't start chasing us again until I pulled the lever for Sheva to come across with me. I'm sad to say, we make it to inevitable gun usage number 3. Sheva and I were on the world's scariest merry-go-round elevator when all of a sudden, some loser decided to pull the lever, making us stop in the process. Grenades weren't able to reach him, and in the end, I had to use a rifle on him. Yes, I know Sheva could have used her bow, but again, her bow isn't allowed in this run since it has infinite ammo. This episode of Resident Evil 5 is slowly killing my soul, one gun usage at a time. Next, we arrive at a liquor part, and there's not much to say. With my stun rod and proximity mines, it wasn't too bad. And upon coming into the next room, I was greeted with this. You piece of shit, you're wearing sunglasses indoors? But then something crazy happened. A woman hit me. And you all know my rule, never lay a hand on a woman unless she hits you first. The first thought that entered my head was attack Wesker. That failed horribly, so then I thought attack woman. That also failed miserably, but luckily Sheva knocked Jill out on the ground, so the final thought that came into my head was electrocute woman while she's down. Even Wesker didn't know what to think of this. And then, the scariest shit happened to me.
The inevitable.
Oh god, what just happened?
You can't hide forever.
Wow, the voice acting in this game is phenomenal. Sheva and I both knew Wesker was pretty well invincible, so we thought, hey, why not commit some borderline sexual assault on Jill and smash her head into the cement floor until Wesker's 7 minutes are up?
You should have gone for the head.
Oh, my back.
And it frigging worked. And for the next Jill portion, we basically just did the same thing. Bully Jill, perform borderline sexual assault, rinse and repeat. Quick, Sheva, rip her device off! Oh, Sheva is literally spinning in circles behind me. Alright, so Jack and Jill went up the hill, we arrived to the ship, and really, the only thing to mention here is the inevitable gun usage number 4, which is the little buttons on the ship. And no, grenades can't activate them.
I need ammo.
Damn it!
Yeah, Chris, you punched that door. Get angry. I killed the big black machine gun guy with my stun rod, which wasn't very difficult if I was okay with getting slapped around a bit. And it was time to fight Excella. Funnily enough, I was actually able to slap her tentacles with my stun rod, and the only time I had to use the big ol' satellite gun was to shoot her central pod. So gun usage number 5. Now holy Christ, I have to say that by far, the toughest fight I've done in this entire challenge was the 2 bug boy and the 2 big black machine gun guy fight. Crikey! This fight took me an hour to finally get down, and I'll include this on my Dante Ravioli proof channel along with the 2 Wesker fights. Speaking of which, we finally have our second battle with the Mad Lad. My mission was to slap those sunglasses off of Wesker's stupid face and put the death penalty on him for even thinking it was okay. This fight was friggin' tough, bro. It was probably equally the hardest fight in the game just because the timing and preciseness of this battle has to be spot on. Luckily, because Wesker was wearing sunglasses, when the lights were turned off, he couldn't see a thing. And he was too much of a mad lad to remove them, so you know, although I hate his guts, I gotta give respect where respect is due. Like I was saying, the way to defeat him was to get him caught in a jump attack, hit him with a stun rod at such a precise moment, which is where my accurate gamer timing came in, and after a bit of abusing him horribly, we finally injected him with Red Bull and he was down for the count. Well, what do you know? Red Bull really does give you wings. And we did the opposite of what we intended. We made Wesker stronger. Then we get to one of the coolest cutscenes I've ever seen in a video game. Wesker turns into a frigging demon, and I decide to inject him with apple juice this time because as we all know, Red Bull and apple juice don't mix. And finally, after pulling the emergency door, Sheva was in quite a pickle and I really juggled the idea of just letting her die. After all, do you know how much pain and misery she put me through this entire journey? But weirdly, although this whole mission I've been pissed off at Sheva and wishing death upon her, something inside of me remembered all the good times we had together. And although it was tempting to just pretend I didn't see her and let her go, in effect doing the planet a service, the hero inside of me just wouldn't let her die. And so I saved her. Did I regret it? Absolutely. Unfortunately, when we crashed into the volcano, the Red Bull and apple juice had a catastrophic effect and Wesker was basically immortal. And guess whose idea it was to inject Wesker in the first place? It was Sheva! I should have let you die. Funnily enough, my grades were able to hit Wesker, giving Sheva enough time to yeet her way up the cliff. And of course, do I even have to mention this part? After doing plenty of research, I found out that all I had to do to beat Wesker was shank him in the back, he'd do a spinny attack, and then I'd restrain him while Sheva stabbed him with her knife. So guess what, my children? I beat Wesker in all of his forms without the use of a single bullet. Now that's an epic victory royale if I've ever seen one. Then we fly up in a helicopter, somehow Wesker is still alive, and Sheva and I blow him up with 2 rocket launchers. Jesus, overkill much? And what the heck, man? Jill was the one who had the right to do that. Why was it Sheva? Oh my god, Sheva, I've just had a roller coaster of emotions with you. And to end this messed up journey, we flew off into the sunset, leaving me with only 5 gun usages throughout the playthrough on veteran difficulty. Again, to all of the babies in the audience, the only reason I didn't play on professional difficulty was because it wasn't unlocked for me yet and I didn't want to play through the game twice. So, can you beat Resident Evil 5 without guns? No, unfortunately you can't. But boy is it ever close. I was just surprised the U8, the Tentacle Boy, and Wesker of all people could all be killed without guns. If you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe to me because I make new gaming challenge videos every single week and I do tons of them on the Resident Evil series. And make sure to click the bell icon or else you pretty well aren't subscribed to me. Just make sure you click that bell. Thanks for watching, check out the other gaming challenge videos on my channel, and I'll see you, Mad Lads, in my next video.